You're walking. Everything feels normal. And then, the ground disappears. Your stomach lurches. Your heart explodes. You reach for something, anything, and there's nothing there. And just before you hit the ground, you wake up. Almost everyone on Earth has had this dream. It happens across every culture, every age group, every language. And for centuries, no one could explain why. Until now. Because it turns out, this isn't random. It's not a glitch. And it might be trying to tell you something. Let's start with the basics. What is actually happening in your body when you fall in a dream? It has a name, the hypnic jerk, or sometimes called a sleep start. And it's one of the most studied and most mysterious phenomena in sleep science. Here's what we know. As you drift from wakefulness into sleep, your brain goes through a rapid transition. Your muscles begin to relax. Your breathing slows. Your consciousness starts to blur. But sometimes, the brain misreads this relaxation. It interprets the sudden loss of muscle tone as a sign that you're physically falling, and it fires an emergency signal, a jolt, a gasp, a full-body spasm that snaps you back to consciousness. That's the hypnic jerk. And it can happen before the dream even starts, or it can be woven directly into a falling dream that your brain constructs in milliseconds. Studies suggest that somewhere between 60 and 70% of people experience hypnic jerks regularly. Some people get them almost every night. Others only during periods of stress or sleep deprivation. But here's where it gets interesting. The hypnic jerk explains the physical sensation, the lurch, the snap. What it doesn't fully explain is the dream itself, the narrative, the ledge, the long, slow descent before impact. For that, we need to go deeper. One of the most compelling theories about falling dreams doesn't come from modern neuroscience. It comes from evolutionary biology, and it goes back millions of years. The theory is called the arboreal hypothesis, and the idea is almost poetic in its simplicity. Our ancient ancestors lived in trees, sleeping on branches, climbing at dusk, balancing on limbs dozens of feet above the ground. For them, falling wasn't a metaphor. It was a real, lethal threat. The theory suggests that the hypnic jerk, that sudden muscle spasm, evolved as a survival mechanism. When your sleeping body started to relax too quickly, your brain triggered a corrective jolt to prevent you from rolling off a branch, to keep you alive. It was a built-in safety system, an evolutionary alarm. And here's the haunting part. We haven't needed that mechanism for a very long time. We sleep in beds, in rooms, on solid ground. But the system is still there, still firing, still saving us from a danger that no longer exists. You fall in your dreams because some ancient part of your brain still thinks you're sleeping in a tree. Before we go further, if you find this kind of content fascinating, the intersection of science and the subconscious, this channel is made for you. We're going to be exploring the mysteries of the dreaming mind, one video at a time. Hit subscribe and hit the bell, because the next video goes somewhere even stranger than this. Now, back to your fall. The evolutionary theory is powerful, but it doesn't explain everything. Because if falling dreams were purely biological, purely a glitch in the transition to sleep, then everyone would have them equally. And we don't. Research consistently shows that falling dreams spike during periods of stress, anxiety, and major life transitions. Exams, breakups, job changes. Moments where we feel, metaphorically, like the ground is shifting beneath us. Sigmund Freud, who wrote about falling dreams and the interpretation of dreams, believed they represented anxiety about letting go of control, about moral or social failure. He linked them to repressed desires and fears. Carl Jung had a different view. He saw falling dreams not as symptoms of failure, but as invitations to descend, to confront something in the unconscious that was waiting to be acknowledged. Modern psychologists tend to be more pragmatic. They connect falling dreams to a specific emotional state, the feeling of losing grip on a relationship, on a career, on who you thought you were. So ask yourself this: when did you last have a falling dream? What was happening in your life at the time? Coincidence? Maybe, but probably not. There's a myth that most of us have heard at least once. If you hit the ground in a falling dream, you die in real life. It's one of the most persistent pieces of dream folklore in human history, and it's completely, scientifically, false. Countless people have reported hitting the ground in falling dreams and waking up perfectly fine. Some even describe it as oddly peaceful, a moment of strange clarity, like passing through a barrier. Where does the myth come from then? Likely from the simple fact that we almost always wake up before we land. The brain pulls you out. Not because it's protecting you from death, but because the emotional peak of the dream triggers arousal. It wakes you up. So throughout history, no one who woke up mid-fall could report what came next. And that absence became a story. Across cultures, falling in dreams has carried meaning for thousands of years. In some traditions, it was a sign of spiritual imbalance. In others, a warning from the gods. In Norse mythology, falling dreams were connected to the moment between worlds, to Yggdrasil, the great tree that connected all realms. We've been falling in our dreams for as long as we've been dreaming, and we've been trying to understand it just as long. So what do you actually do about falling dreams? If they're waking you up every night, disrupting your sleep, leaving you anxious, there are real, evidence-based strategies that help. First, reduce the triggers. Falling dreams increase dramatically with sleep deprivation, caffeine late in the day, and high stress. Creating a consistent wind-down routine signals to your nervous system that it's safe to let go gradually, which reduces the abrupt hypnic jerk. Second, stress processing before bed. Journaling, breathwork, even a short meditation can lower the emotional charge that feeds falling dreams. If your subconscious is working through anxiety, give it less raw material to work with. Third, and this is the one I find most fascinating, lucid dreaming. Trained lucid dreamers can recognize the falling sensation mid-dream, stay conscious within it, and actually choose what happens next. Some report that when they stopped fearing the fall, when they let go and let themselves land, the dreams transformed entirely. Maybe that's the real message buried in these dreams. Not warning, not failure, not death, but a question. Are you willing to let go? Falling dreams are one of the most universal human experiences there is. They cross cultures, centuries, and continents, and they sit right at the edge of what science can explain and what mythology still holds. They're biological, they're psychological, they're ancient, and they might be more meaningful than you think. The next time you feel yourself falling, before the jolt pulls you back, try something. Try to stay, just for a moment, and see what's waiting for you at the bottom. If this video made you think, or made you remember a dream you'd forgotten, share it with someone. Dreams are more interesting when you talk about them. Subscribe for more explorations like this one. Every week, we go somewhere the sleeping mind takes us. And leave a comment below. What happens in your falling dreams? Do you wake up before you land, or have you ever hit the ground? I'll see you in the next one.